Hi guys, welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So today I'm going to be bringing to you a really delicious recipe that's been requested for a long time now, and it's finally going to make its debut. It's Lahanodolmades, which are Greek cabbage rolls. And we make our cabbage rolls, we serve them with a beautiful, delicious, creamy egg lemon sauce. There's no cream in it, but it is creamy, and I'm going to show you how that happens. If you've been watching and if you've been with us for a while, I've made a Greek lemony chicken and orzo soup, and that's pretty much almost the same kind of sauce that's going to go on top. We're going to go over the ingredients and then we're going to get started. I'm going to take it, I'm not going to go over all the ingredients because this recipe gets done in a few steps. So we're going to begin with the cabbage. I have one big head of cabbage over here and some boiling water. To the boiling water, I'm just going to add some salt to get some flavor in it. And you want to make sure to find the biggest head of cabbage that you can get. Back in the day, and even in Greece it's hard to find right now, but even in Greece they used to have these big, huge cabbages that were very, very loose. They weren't tight like this one, and they were especially for making cabbage rolls. It would be really easy to use those. Nowadays it's kind of hard to find those, so if you can find a really big one, go ahead and get the biggest one you can find. If the only ones you can find are the really small cabbages, you're going to have to pick up about 2 or 3 and do this in batches. Now, I cut the core out, or most of it, of the cabbage. I'll try to get a little bit more. So try to get most of the core out, and then you're going to put it in the salted boiling water. You want the whole side down in the water. Careful not to burn yourself. And we're going to let this cook for about 15 minutes on one side, then I'm going to flip it over on the other side. And the leaves are going to start to kind of fall off, and if they're not falling off, you're going to want to kind of help take them off with the fork, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that in a little bit. So that's going to go for 15 minutes, and while that's happening, we're going to go over our filling ingredients. Now this is, we're using ground beef. You can use any ground meat that you like. I'm going to use ground beef. It's lean ground beef. I'm going to use an onion, a little bit of rice, dill, parsley, salt, pepper, olive oil, and we're going to have a little splash of water in there. That's it. The filling is very simple, but you want to get really nice fresh herbs because the herbs are what's going to give it a lot of the flavor. So I just picked all of the leaves and I took the stems off of my parsley and my dill. I want to keep that ready. I'm just going to cut my onion in a couple of pieces. And I like to do this in my food processor. If you have a food processor, this is a great time to take it out and use it. It just makes life so much easier because you don't want chunks of onion. You want it to be almost a puree because the lighter the filling is going to be, the better it's going to taste. And why not just put everything in there and chop it up together? I'm going to do it in 2 batches. If you don't have a food processor, you can go ahead and chop this up with a knife, but I wouldn't chop the onion up with a knife. I would take out like a box grater and grate it like that because again, you want it to be sort of like a puree consistency, and have some tissues handy because if the onion is strong, you might cry a little bit. But I'm going to put this all in my food processor and I'm just going to pulse it. I'm going to put half of my onion in first. And once it's chopped up really well, we're just going to add in our parsley. Just take it out and put it in a big mixing bowl. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other half of the onion and the dill. I'm going to puree the onion first, and then I'll add the dill in and until it's a really nice mushy consistency. So to our herbs and onions, we're going to add our ground beef, a little bit of salt and pepper, the rice, about a 1/4 cup or so of olive oil. And then I'm just going to mix it up really well, and you really want this consistency to be very, very wet. You don't want it to be dry. So I'm going to mix it first, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water. It'll probably need about a 1/4 or 1/2 cup of water. It all depends on your onion, how much juice it released. but I'll show you what it needs to look like. But it smells so good. You can smell the dill, fresh dill, and parsley. Just have a really nice smell. So to this, I'm going to add a little bit of water. And I think it's needing a tiny bit more olive oil. And a little bit more salt. And that's it. Just like that, our filling is completely ready. I'm going to set it aside, wash my hands, and I'm going to start taking the leaves off of the cabbage. So it's been boiling for 15 minutes. My meat filling is ready. Now we're just going to be waiting for the leaves to cook. Now, there's really no other shortcut other than doing it this way. And what you're going to be looking for is for the leaves to separate easily. They kind of become a little bit translucent, just like this. If you have a bigger pot, go ahead and use one. It'll probably be a little bit easier than this. But I'm going to let this cook about 10 more minutes so that way the bottom part, which was really the top part, cooks also, and then the leaves will release easily. I'll put them in this big bowl, and then I'm just going to drain them out so the excess water comes out. But as you can see, they're already coming out very, very easily. Now, boiling cabbage and boiling Brussels sprouts is not one of the most delicious smells you can have going on in your house. So if you have any tips on how to get that smell out of the house, I mean, I've used candles and incense and all of that, please post them down below and I'd love to hear them from you. It's delicious and everything. So if you do have an outdoor barbecue grill with like a little like stovetop area where you can cook on, go ahead and do it outside. That's going to be great. Otherwise, open up all your windows and get the smell out of the house. It's going to be delicious, but the smell does linger for a while. So when you kind of get to the center of the cabbage, you're going to have to play with it a little bit and kind of pull it apart with a fork very carefully so you don't burn yourself with the hot water. Just a little bit, kind of help it release. And when you get down to this little small part, you don't have to do anything else. Just let it kind of cook a few more minutes and then you can release them once they cool down, just so that way you don't burn yourself. But the leaves that are done, you don't want them to get too soft because they're going to continue to cook once they're stuffed. So just like that, once they're released and they're a bit translucent, take them out of the water, put them in a big bowl, and then we're just going to go on right now and we're going to strain these. So our cabbage leaves are sort of cooling over here on the side. I emptied out my pot. I'm just going to use the same pot. Why dirty another one? So I'm just going to chop these up. I have 2 carrots here and a few celery. And these are going to just be like on the bottom of the pot. They're going to be like a bed for our cabbage roll. So that way they're not in direct contact with the bottom of the pot, which the heat is going to be hitting, and then they'll cook, not cool, very delicately. So we're just going to make you can put a small onion in here if you like. It adds a little bit more sweetness than I like, so I'm just going to leave it out. This is going to make a really beautiful broth. So we have the vegetables cut up. Now we're going to start filling our cabbage rolls. Now, we're going to take the nice big leaves. You're going to want to cut the stem, the rough stem part out, the very bottom part. This makes it hard to roll up, and if you leave this on, it tastes good and everything, but it's going to make them break up, and then the filling is going to come out and you're going to have a mess. You can save this and eat it later as a snack, or just put it in like a stock or something like that. So you want a nice big leaf, a tablespoonful of filling, depending on the size of your leaf. So over here we have a nice real big leaf, so I'm putting a nice big full tablespoon of filling, and then I'm just going to roll it up. Just like that. Beautiful. Just set it aside. And don't worry about these like shredded pieces. These are going to be used to cover up our vegetables, and they definitely will not go to waste. Again, we're going to cut the bottom part off. A nice heaping tablespoon, and just keep in mind that the rice, once it cooks, it's going to expand, so you don't want to make this too tight where it bursts open, but you do want to make it tight enough where it stays put in the pot. Just like that, roll it up. And we're going to keep going, filling and rolling. If I get to a very, very big leaf, then I'm just going to cut it and turn it into 2 pieces. But so far the leaves are looking really nice. Okay, so all the ripped up pieces of cabbage that I found, I just use them to coat these vegetables. And then now I'm just going to take all of my rolled up stuffed cabbage and I'm just going to fit it in here really nice and snug. And you can form a second layer if you have to. Now I'm just going to take all the rest of these really small pieces and I'm just going to create another layer on top. And then I'm going to get a plate because this does need a weight to keep it down, so that way when it's cooking and simmering over the stove, then you don't want them to open up and fall apart. So you want to get a plate that fits the inside of this. Let me go and grab one. So I'm just going to put the plate on top like that and press it down a little bit. And then I'm just going to fill it with water just until the water comes all the way up to the plate. Just like that. Once you see the water, then you know you have enough. We're going to turn the heat on high just until it comes to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to reduce the heat to a very slow simmer, and then I'm going to let this cook for between 30 to 45 minutes, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's ready. Okay, so the cabbage rolls have been cooking for 40 minutes, and when that happens, the color of your pot will change. Just kidding. I know. It's a little corny, but I prepared a pot beforehand so that way this will go a little smoother, and I didn't have the same color, so your pot will not change color. But anyway, so once it's done cooking, you're going to take that carefully, take the plate off of the top, and if you can remove the top leaves carefully. Now we're going to go on to make our egg lemon sauce once these are out. And there's still going to be lots of water in here, and you need that because it's going to create a really beautiful sauce once we add the egg, lemon, and cornstarch, which are the ingredients that you're going to need to have. Okay, so we have 3 egg yolks here. I'm going to put 2 heaping tablespoons of cornstarch, a little touch of olive oil. This is classic egg lemon sauce, and some lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. Never use bottled lemon juice when you're making the sauce. That stuff is just good for cleaning. We've said it before and I'll say it again. Fresh is best. So we're just going to mix this up until the cornstarch is completely diluted. And then we're going to temper this mixture, and tempering just means we're going to raise the temperature of it so that when we add it to the hot sauce, it'll blend and become nice and creamy and not scrambled eggs of the sauce. Now you can totally take out all of the cabbage rolls and then do this with just the liquid in there, but I never do it. It works perfectly this way. That's just extra work, and then they're cooked and they're so tender that they can fall apart, and you don't want all that hard work to go down the drain. Now you'll feel it when the liquid starts to feel a little bit warm, then you know it's ready to add to the pot. So now I'm just going to pour it into the pot like that. And you can't mix it because it's full of the cabbage rolls. So what you want to do is just take the pot and just give it a nice shake. So that way the egg lemon mixture distributes evenly. And we're just going to let it cook until it comes to a boil. And we're going to leave it alone. Right after it comes to a boil, I'm going to turn the heat off. And then I'm just going to taste it for a seasoning. And then we're just going to let it sit. Here it is. It's boiling. just shake it a little more. Just like that. I'm going to turn it off, let it sit. Right now it looks like it's not thick enough, but the beauty of this sauce is as you know, the more it sits, the longer it sits, the thicker it gets, and you want it to be a nice creamy consistency. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit, clean this area up, give it a taste, put it on the plate, and show you what it looks like. And that is delicious. Nice and light and refreshing. This is traditionally cooked as more of like a fall or winter dish. So all my friends on the opposite side of the world in Australia, like Malcolm and everybody else who's watching, you guys are going to want to make this because it is cooling down over there. I ate it mostly in the winter, but I can eat this all year round because it's very light and refreshing. Traditionally, again, you would let this sit at least 30 minutes just so it could thicken up a bit, but I'm just going to take it out to show you what it looks like as is. These are very soft. Pour some sauce on top. All you need is a nice toasted, crusty piece of whole grain bread and you are good to go. Let me cut into it. This should be really soft, and it sure is. Don't need a knife. Look at what the inside looks like. If you can see, the meat is really nice and light. It's not compact, and that's because the mixture was really nice and wet when we made it. And that's what you want yours to look like as well. I'm going to take a bite. That right there is perfection. Light, very aromatic from the herbs. And put this knife down. And the meat is really nice and soft. The rice is perfectly cooked. The lemon gives it a nice tang. And it's creamy without having cream in it. You're going to want to check this recipe out. The recipe is always in the description box down below. It takes you directly to the website, www.dimitrasdishes.com. Let me know in the comments below what you want to learn how to make next. Let me know what you thought of this recipe. How do you guys make it? I know some people make it with a tomato sauce. If you want me to teach you how to do that, I can do that as well in an upcoming video. Thumbs up this video if you like it. Subscribe because you definitely don't want to miss any of the recipes that are coming up. Lots of delicious recipes coming your way. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.